Hi everyone, welcome to Film Log Update number 27, covering most of the films I watched or rewatched during March and April 2024. So yes, we are back, another Film Log Update, a very informal video. Laptop in front of me, just going through the films, or most of the films that I want to talk about that I've been watching recently. And yeah, this is always a good thing to do, and we can kind of talk about these films, if you want, a variety of films, and it allows me to kind of log what I've been watching and, potentially talk about all these different films with you viewers. So yes, let's dig in. There will be as well at the end the favourite first watches. Won't be any for March. It was too hard to decide. Too close to watching all these films. What I did consider, to be my favourite. So just for April this time round will be the favourite first watch, and there was a few that were too close, in March that I just couldn't pick, and I didn't really want to do a joint placement. So with all that said, let's dig in. In March, Ride Along. So this is a film that I'd not planned. Usually I plan my films out, kind of have, ideally is, kind of the month in advance, most of the days, or, knowing if I've got time for this film and that film on that day. And, most of the, ideally, doesn't always go according to plan. The whole film is planned, but this film was just one of those ones that now and then, I'll have to, change plans and, just maybe watch a comedy or something like that that's fairly short. So Ride Along was one of those films, and I would say I enjoyed this film. It was okay. Ice Cube, obviously, and Kevin Hart together. I think it could have been way better though, considering these two, highly enjoyable actors. In this comedy, it could have been more enjoyable. I think it was very much just bare bones a lot of the time. Some of the comedy didn't work, and so some of the thriller aspects, the action stuff, again could have been better. But it was an okay film. Ride Along. I'd heard about this, for since it came out, and finally, checking it out, it was okay. So there we go. Then we have Witness, of course, Harrison Ford. A very, very interesting film. Not your typical Harrison Ford film, it was a film from the 80s, and it's a very, very different film for him, and kind of this drama film, of course, and a thriller as well. But it kind of, I would say it's a bit inconsistent. This one, for my liking, it's just very a bit too, kind of different in its, kind of different acts. Of course, 1, 2, 3. It's just a bit, and it doesn't quite, mesh at times, and the flow is a bit strange at times. But overall, very good performances. I was definitely invested, and it was a good film, definitely, and it was a nice watch. Next up, we have Parasite. The first time watching this film for me. Parasite, obviously, very, very famous film. I'd been hearing a lot about this, and I thought it was good. I didn't love this film. I found it to be just, it wasn't that investing for me, and I think at first, it was when it really had me. But after the first act, and I can't, I was kind of going through the film, and it's just, I was thinking, this is not, one that I love. There's a lot of things that it's just kind of could have, I just didn't really get, that invested in some of the characters and stuff, and the actual tone of the film. I was a bit, it just wasn't really quite for my liking. Definitely very well shot. Some interesting, creative ideas. But yeah, no, it was a good film. I just wouldn't ever call it, great. Personally, just my opinion. And yeah, it's not really a film that I would probably go back and rewatch really. But yeah, Parasite from Bong Joon-ho, of course. Then we have Copland. Now this is a film that I saw when I was a teenager, and I remember thinking, this is, I wasn't really big on it, and so I thought I'd rewatch this film. Massive cast, including Sylvester Stallone, but this is just very, very flat and lifeless for me. It's just, very muted. I just found, and the characters, the actual plot, everything that was going on really was at best average, and most of the time it was under par, and it wasn't a film that overall I enjoyed. So there we go. I do remember not being into it, and many years ago. But yeah, just again, I couldn't get into the film, so thought I would maybe like it this time around. Brian and Charles, this kind of interesting British film comedy, kind of drama. I enjoyed this film, quite a bit. Not much to say. I'd recommend seeing this. I wouldn't want to kind of spoil the film, but yeah, just very, very charming film. At times really, really funny. Some things that fell apart, and you kind of went off the rails in the final act. But overall, you know, I did enjoy this one. You know, I thought it was very warm and charming. So there we go. Child's Play, rewatching that. You know, I'd seen this a few times, you know, when I was younger. You know, and just yeah, I do. You know, the first one off memory, you know, and I've seen a few of them. The first one was my favourite. So yeah, at some point I'll be watching, you know, some of the other, not necessarily all of them, but yeah, just some of the other Child's Play films, and you know, I have seen Bride of Chucky as well, you know, many years ago. So and the second and third film, which I didn't really like that much at the time. So yeah, Child's Play, the first one, you know, is really funny film, and also you know, quite disturbing as well in aspects. So there we go. Definitely a film I like. It's a good film for me. Not one of my favourite, you know, kind of horror films, but definitely an iconic film that I do really enjoy. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990. You know, I've seen some, you know, Ninja Turtle stuff, you know, as a kid, animated mainly, and this is the 90 live action version. You know, I enjoyed it. I thought it was an enjoyable film. It was pretty good. You know, charming. Liked the chemistry between the characters. Very silly. You know, kind of wacky film. And yeah, no, I enjoyed that. You know, I do enjoy those kinds of films. You know, there's just you know, quite over the top at times. Silly kind of warm. You know, films like this. So yeah, I did enjoy it. And yeah, I'd recommend it if you've not seen it. Then we have a rewatch of Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. One of my favourite Mission Impossible films, absolutely stunning. You know, wow, what an experience once again. Brad Bird, of course, famously directing this one, and yeah, it's one of my favourites in the series. And after being very disappointed in 7, you know, the 7th entry, Dead Reckoning, of course, Part 1. Going back to these is great, you know, it really is. It's a shame, you know, I personally find, just my opinion, that, you know, 7 and probably 8 will not be as good as, you know, these recent ones. They were really hitting out, you know, of the park there, and just absolutely stunning films with 4, 5 and 6, and it's just a real shame that for me, 7, you know, it's just a disappointment. Next up we have Safe with Julianne Moore. You know, this is a film, you know, from '95 that I was interested in seeing, and you know, it's kind of about this woman who, I won't spoil the plot, but you know, she's suffering from these illnesses, and you know, it's all related to, well, yes, basically, you know, things escalate, and she becomes very unwell, and you know, things happen, and yeah, basically, she tries to get better. So that's all I'll say there, and it's a very interesting film. You know, I think in the end it was kind of average, because at times it was a bit uninvesting, and just, you know, it didn't really go far enough in terms of, you know, just character working, and you know, just the narrative momentum was off at times, I found. But you know, an interesting film, and you know, just kind of hopeful in places as well. So yeah, Julianne Moore was good in the film as well. So Safe, very you know, a strange film, but you know, I enjoyed it. Lost in Translation next, of course. You know, very iconic film that I had never seen until now. Of course, Scarlett Johansson and Bill Murray in the lead roles, and yeah, I did really enjoy this film. You know, I didn't love the film overall, but you know, it's very investing, and you know, I thought the performance was very good. It had even though you know, it was maybe a bit too somber at times for me, it had overall a very interesting tone. You know, just yeah, it was a kind of a relaxing film, a comforting film, and also you know, it was definitely investing in places that were quite unexpected. So there we go. Lost in Translation, definitely one that I enjoyed quite a bit. And then we have Kicking and Screaming, of course, from 1995, directed by Noah Baumbach. Once again, seeing another one of his films. A very interesting director, and I do enjoy, you know, some of these films. This one, yeah, I did enjoy. You know, it was a kind of this at times hangout film. You know, after kind of college graduation, you know, around this kind of lifestyle, I guess. You know, sometimes these films aren't, you know, the most enjoyable to me, but you know. And this one wasn't, you know, a film that I loved. There's some things I didn't enjoy in the film, but overall, you know, by the end of it, I did, you know, enjoy it. I did admire the film. I thought the script at times was very good, and yeah, just very good performances at times. You know, and moments certainly here and there that were quite, you know, charming, and you know, it was a comedy, of course, as well as a drama. You know, from this interesting director, you know, certainly he's made some stuff that I really, you know, I do love, and this one is not one of his best, personally for me, but I do enjoy the film. So yeah, Kicking and Screaming. Then we have The Post, another Steven Spielberg film, and then we have The BFG the day after that I saw, both from Spielberg. Both films that personally I wasn't, big on. I think The Post, on that note, some good performances, but really, I just wasn't invested in the film. It was too much, just talking. But in, just people talking. How can I describe it? Obviously, I love dialogue in films, but when it's just people spouting, a load of it's just words coming out of people, and I wasn't invested in any of it. Unfortunately, despite being very interested, on paper in this film. And obviously this being a historical, piece, but really for some reason, it just wasn't invested in it. It went on and on, and it just, just a bit of a misfire for me personally. Obviously, one of my absolute favorite directors was Spielberg, but I love Tom Hanks, but this one didn't really do it for me personally. And then the BFG, just an underwhelming kind of family film really for me, that was very boring and kind of off tone as well. This one, it was just weird tonal moments with the comedy that didn't really work. Some of the animation is very, very good, obviously, and there are things to enjoy in the film here and there, but some charming moments. But overall, I just didn't really like the film. A bit disappointing. Those films there. And another disappointing film next is Breakfast at Tiffany's. Audrey Hepburn in this film. Love this actress. She's just wonderful. But this film, for whatever reason, wow, I didn't think I would dislike the film, and it's not a film that I actively dislike. It's the one that probably falls very, very just short of the like mark. So yeah, that's a disappointment. Really wanted to enjoy this film, but it's one of those rare films that is so a film like this that I was really hyped for, and just really. From the first act, I was thinking, this is just not one that I'm really that invested in. The characters, it's quite flat, and they're not really very interesting, people to me in the way it's done. And the narrative, nothing really happens throughout the film that really grabs me and piques my interest in that sense. And yeah, great music in the film, obviously, and some really nice visuals, but yeah, I wasn't really into this film too much. So there you go, Breakfast at Tiffany's, and that was certainly, unfortunately, a bit of a disappointment for me. Then we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, of course, from 2023. So another Ninja Turtles film. Wasn't as big on this one as I was, on that 1990 version that I saw, shortly before this one, and yeah, it was an okay film. Some annoying moments, irritating moments, but definitely some comedy again that was good. And overall, it was a film that I enjoyed. The animation was very, very good. That's for sure. Certainly very impressive, and it was a fine film. But a lot of aspects that I wasn't big on. Kind of are a bit irritating personally for me. Then we have Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, of course. One, of course, that I was I'd heard about obviously for many, many years. Finally checking this out. This was not a rewatch. This was a first time watch as well. I think Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet, in the film were great, and the film really, really had me at first. But I think overall, in the end, it became more of a good film than very good. And higher. For whatever reason, it just kind of lost me, and it was a bit too non-linear for me. Actually, that's one of the things, especially with I would say, how can I say it? With romances and things like this that. I like to have charming romances. My favourites, more classic stuff. But so with this, non-linear kind of piecing things together, it was a bit too much, and also the fact that it was, for a romance film, it kind of lessened, I guess, my investment in that kind of romance, and some things that just kind of went over my head, and overall, it was just a bit hard going at times, but a good film because it did start out very, very good. I think there's some great moments in this film actually. So yeah, I did enjoy this one definitely, but it was a bit too convoluted and non-linear for me personally. So there we go. East of Eden, of course, James Dean. Now this, for many, many years I'd just seen Rebel Without Cause, not seen East of Eden or Giant. Giant I'll be watching very, very soon, but East of Eden was a first time watch, of course. Ilya Kazan as well directing this film, so I love this director, and I think this falls short of those other films that I've seen from him. I think there's a great performance. Loved aspects of this film, but overall it was more of just a kind of a good film that I kind of appreciated. How it's made, but again a lot of patches in the film that was kind of uninvesting, and overall it just didn't really. I didn't love the film, that's all really, but I loved elements, and I think James Dean and another character in particular, I really did love, but it was just a bit flat and a bit muted as well, for me, not really as well, speaking to me, visually, whereas the other kind of Ilya Kazan films that I've seen, really have, this one was a bit too flat for me, a bit too detached, so there we go. East of Eden. Then we have The Black Phone. This horror film that came out in 2021. Wasn't a fan of this at all. Very very silly for me, and just not scary, and not really funny either. When it was trying to be. So yeah, some moments here and there early on that was okay, but really I didn't enjoy that one. So there we go. Next up, Honey Boy. Now I really did enjoy this one. A very good film. Shia LaBeouf, wrote this film, so it's kind of as well loosely based on his childhood and relationships and stuff that he had, his father, for example. And overall, just a very moving film. Very funny at times, and just quite dark in places, and very very moving for the most part when it was trying to be as well. So it's thoroughly investing really. For the most part, there's a couple of things that didn't work for me, but overall, a very good film, and one of the highlights of March. And then we have Munich, another Spielberg film that I was wanting to see finally, and I didn't like the film. What can I say? It's the few Spielbergs that I had left that were the ones that I've got a couple left now, but I have more hopes for them. But Munich was the one that I was never really wanting to, desperate to see, and just it didn't really do it for me. I do like Eric Bana, in Troy. I really do like him in that. And, I do like him as an actor. But unfortunately, just the characters, the plot. It started out fine, but then it lost me. And it's, for what it is, I think it's overlong as well, and it was just a very very dull for me, personally. But things to appreciate, obviously, as always, the visual storytelling with Spielberg is it's something that I can definitely appreciate, obviously, and I can see wow, there's some real good stuff going on there. But overall, Munich just wasn't the one that I personally enjoyed. Starting off April, we had Jerry Maguire. For me, this is a film that I wasn't big on. I felt it was okay, but it was a bit uninvesting at times, and just didn't blow me away. I thought I'd enjoy it more than I did, and just the kind of it was a bit in places cringy actually with some of the romance and stuff. Plus, just the way it was done for me, really. But an okay film, not one that I was big on personally. The first Purge, the next in the Purge films. The fourth one, I didn't enjoy this really at all. There's some funny characters, definitely some charming moments, but it just wasn't investing in locations, the way it was used, and it just it wasn't tense enough for me, and I just lost interest in it. And after that, I did at some point as well see the Forever Purge, and that was in a way worse, in a way better. Again, didn't like that film. Just wasn't investing for me, and what a shame. I enjoyed all of the first three Purge films, and then 4 and 5 just haven't been ones that I enjoyed personally. But there we go. Then we have The Elephant Man, of course, David Lynch. Rewatching this, it had been many years though since I saw this. It was when I was a kid. I last saw this. Quite young. Even then, probably like 11. Around 11 was probably, or 12 was the last time I saw this film. So. All the way through. So yeah, definitely a great film for me. I thought this was great. Perhaps at times art house elements kind of obstruct or get in the way. My investment of this film, it's a bit maybe doesn't fit the film at times. Just personally for me, some of these elements, the style of the film, but mostly this is thoroughly investing, obviously tragic elements, but humanity as well, and Anthony Hopkins, John Hurt, of course, masterful performances here. Anthony Hopkins, wow, this is just what a performance this is, and at times, there's a few things I didn't, wasn't big on in the film, but mostly this was stunning, and I did. Yeah, it's definitely a very, very moving film, and great to see it again after all those years. So there we go. The Elephant Man, Way Out West, a Laurel and Hardy masterpiece, classic that I will be talking about on the channel fairly soon. So there we go. I've seen this many, many times, growing up and stuff, and a few years ago as well, again, and was meant to review, but we'll be reviewing it this time very, very soon, and absolutely stunning. One of their best films, and in many regards their most famous film as well. So there we go, Out West. The Prince of Egypt, animated film. I don't really remember much of watching this actually. Just it was okay. I appreciated it. Wasn't one that I was big on, and I would probably watch again. So there we go. Following Christopher Nolan's directorial debut. Now this was very impressive. Wow, such a low budget. 6,000 roughly of the budget, and effectively in many ways it's kind of a no budget film. If you look at it a certain way. So wow, this is inspiring. It really, really is. I was very invested throughout for the most part. The final act wasn't as good, but this is just such an impressive film, and so unique, and he wrote, directed, edited, etc. This film, and it took a while to make, considering, but he made this, and I do enjoy this more than a few of the Nolan films as well. So would highly recommend seeing this. It's very, very inspiring as well for people interested in filmmaking, and just to make it, a film like this good, and this, some kind of natural in a way, and not doesn't really at times feel like a kind of a first film, and such a low budget film, and such an indie film, and so yeah, that's really inspiring. Christopher Nolan, he had so much you can see in this film that's just so kind of impressive. His style at times in this film, and just the kind of quirky, charming characters as well. Really, I love the script. Overall, it was great. So yeah, following, definitely an overall solid film, and very impressive debut from Nolan, one of my favourite filmmakers, of course. So there we go. Then we have Being John Malkovich, of course, a Charlie Kaufman script, and Spike Jonze directed film. John Cusack in the main role. This is, highly impressive. I did love this film. It's just such a unique one that I was mostly throughout, just loving, and just a thoroughly investing film that I'd highly recommend. So unique, and Then we have Poor Things, Yorgos Lanthimos. Definitely a film that I did really enjoy. One of the better films to come out, this year, and I think the second half wasn't as good. I did much prefer the first half. I really, really liked the film then, and it went off and it didn't. The tone, and stuff. It wasn't quite there for me in the second half. But overall, still a very enjoyable film that I did enjoy. Probably, as I say, one of the better films of 2023. And then we have watching again Ant-Man and the Wasp. This is definitely a very enjoyable film. Nowhere near as good as the first Ant-Man film, but way better than the third. And it's a sequel, to the first. It's definitely an enjoyable film. There's some things that I'm not big on, and it's not a film that blows me away like the first, but definitely enjoy this one. Then we have A Shot in the Dark, rewatching that, going back to a few of the Pink Panther films, rewatching them, and I absolutely love this film. This is the best and my favourite Pink Panther film. I think Peter Sellers is legendary in this film, and just all the kind of beginnings really of different characters that would recur throughout the series in a certain way, and dynamics, and just consistently the script, the way it's edited. This is hilarious, a classic film, a comedy film, and Peter Sellers, just hilarious in this film. Been thinking about this since watching it last month, and just absolutely love this one. So there we go. Escape from Alcatraz, rewatching this. Clint Eastwood, of course, in the main role. This is a very, very good film. It falls short of its potential, I feel, at times, but the breakout, the famous breakout in this film, obviously, it is absolutely stunning, and that portion of the film is legendary to me. But just some of the characters and stuff could have been a bit better, and a bit more engaging of a film throughout. But definitely a very very investing film. Anatomy of a Fall wasn't huge on this one, a bit cold. But overall, it was fine. It was something I appreciated the script and there's impressive, dialogue at times. But yeah, not one I'd rewatch personally. Then we have Holes, another Shia LaBeouf film. I'll just go back to this film. This is a film that I first saw in school, in primary school. Was showed this and never saw the whole film. Back then, just it would always be the case. Most of the time, in school, you get shown a film and then they wouldn't have any time to kind of finish it, and they would never feel to then continue the film on another day, because it was probably at the end of term kind of thing that we, the last day back then that you'd get maybe shown a film in the last few days, and yeah, we never watched it. And I got up to a certain point in the film, and then watched it again though when I was a few years after that, when I was still a kid and stuff, and I did enjoy this one, and yeah, going back to it, it's a very a charming film. I like it. I think it's a fine film. It's not great, and there's a few things that are a bit weird tonally, some of the comedy, but yeah, it's quite a bizarre film, I would say. A very bizarre film, definitely, but I did enjoy it. It's a charming enough film, and I really enjoy some of the characters, and one character in particular is really, he stood out to me as a kid, and supporting character, and just it's really well done in places, this film, and yeah, just it's a very charming, kind of wacky, warm film, of course, Disney live action film, so there we go. Then we have All of Us Strangers. This is a very unique film, very, very investing, definitely as well one of the better films, of 2023, and yeah, it would be quite high on my list. The drama in the film, is very well done, and also, kind of mystery elements. I wouldn't kind of want to get into the film too much for spoilers, but it's basically a very unexpected film, the way it goes, and very ambiguous at times. So I was kind of I left the film, with a kind of a slight disappointment that I didn't, know exactly a bit more what had happened in certain areas, but very investing, and this kind of romance film at times, and also someone kind of dealing with nostalgia as well. So a lot of things going on, and it's just a very investing film that I did enjoy. Highly recommend that. Juno, seeing it for the first time, not much to say here. Was more potential than it kind of ended up as. I think it could have been better for me personally, and I thought I'd like it more. Really good performances. It's definitely an okay film, but some of the things, the way it was handled, the character working, I wasn't big on, and just overall, it's a film I liked, didn't love personally. And then we have Witness for the Prosecution, Billy Wilder, of course, and this was very investing, kind of courtroom drama. And, Charles Lawton in this film is great, and I it's not one of my favourite Billy Wilders, one of the absolute best, but it really is a very, very good film for me, and it's just the script, the visuals, it's not, again, one of my favourite courtroom dramas, but it really is, it's quite an investing film, and I did enjoy this one. So Witness for the Prosecution, finally seeing this film. Edge of Tomorrow, in a nutshell, close to being great until the final act, where it completely goes off the rails, actually, for me, and was very, very different. I thought, that's very surprising that it went in that direction, but obviously finally seeing this film, because I was actually meant to see this a few times over the years, was very close to watching it, and then it never came about, but finally seeing this, Tom Cruise, Emily Blunt, of course, and yeah, just, I did, overall you could say I loved the film, but the final act was just a bit, uninvesting for me, and it was completely different, and didn't really wrap it up at all for me. It wasn't that satisfying, but until that point I was so invested, in this film, the idea, the kind of repeating, things as well, and the action, the performances, and the characters. So yeah, Edge of Tomorrow, very, very good film, one that I did in places love, really till the final act. The Tigger movie, seeing this, and I did really enjoy this one. It's a charming film with all the characters, Winnie the Pooh, etc. that I find to be really charming. I watched a few of these films recently, so the Ticker movie, definitely one I recommend. Seeing this on Disney Plus. Four Lions, this is a film that I really enjoyed. Riz Ahmed, in this film, great actor, Riz Ahmed. It's a comedy kind of thriller film that I would just say, watch the film and find out, what's going on in this, and just kind of, it's a very unique sense of comedy in this. I did, for the most part, really like this film, and it was quite hilarious at times, and really investing and kind of tragic, and this kind of dark edge to the humour as well. So Four Lions, there we go. Gladiator, seeing this again, Ridley Scott. Gladiator is a film that's very strange for me, because over the years I've gone up and down, on it, but, and I've never seen it for around, pretty more than a decade actually. Yeah, definitely more than a decade now that I saw this film, and originally I was kind of really big on aspects of the film, and then I thought but the drama and all this and the characters and some things are a bit flat and a bit cold at times, and then kind of in my mind I just kind of mixed it up, and I thought we'll just have to see see this film again, really see what I think of it, and it is a very good film. It's not one of my favourite kind of in the genre. Watching it again, I guess I'm probably more invested in this than I was before overall. I think it is lacking something. It really is for me personally. For this to be this legendary film that I wanted it to be really when I was a kid. But as a kid, I saw films like Braveheart, and those really delivered for me. Those are the ones that I absolutely loved. And I did prefer actually seeing a few months ago Troy. Personally, that's a different opinion there, but that's my opinion, and I do. I say prefer Troy. The tone, just the enjoyment of that film. Not that they need to be compared, but yeah, I'm seeing Gladiator, a very good film with some great aspects. The spiritual elements in this, are really quite stunning actually, and the music, obviously Hans Zimmer, stunning. Performances at times, as well. Oliver Reed, obviously his final, kind of, film role in that sense. So yeah, a very good film, and yeah, I did enjoy watching it again. So there we go. Can You Forgive Me? Melissa McCarthy in this film. This was not one that I was big on. The tone, just the seedy nature of some characters. Some very unlikable people in this, and it just wasn't the most pleasant of films. But it was investing for the most part, and I did enjoy the performances and appreciate the film. So it was okay, but not really something I loved. Piglet's Big Movie, seeing that again. So this is a very young kid, and it's great to kind of go back to this for nostalgia, and again another Winnie the Pooh type film that I did really enjoy, and yeah, it was a really charming film with some great music, and really just nice film to see. Then we have Jonathan Glazer's The Zone of Interest. So this is a 2023 film again that I was kind of wanted to check out, and yeah, it's a very interesting film. Same director of Sexy Beast, which I've talked about on the channel before, and I love that film. And yeah, this is a very strange film. It's a one that kind of it's kind of at times just maybe documentary-esque at times, in the way it's kind of shot and stuff. You're not really fully getting into the characters really, but it's this commandant of Auschwitz, and seeing him and his family mainly in where they're staying around, all the horror, just the horrors that are happening very close to where they're staying, and but you don't actually see. Very interesting. You don't see actually in the camp, the concentration camp. So it's a very interesting film. And I'd heard roughly that was what it's going to be. Before seeing it, and it's definitely a very unique film that is very disturbing, very very disturbing, and in that sense, that the idea of showing it, and these people who are doing all these horrible things, but not actually showing it, it's got that haunting thing of not actually seeing certain things, and for me, it was probably a bit too detached, though, and it didn't quite, kind of explore certain things, that I thought it would, and I thought it was well made. I was invested in the film, kind of, it's very disturbing and effective. It's this kind of almost a horror film, really, even though it's just showing these characters and and stuff. It's definitely a very disturbing film, and overall, I did. I was invested. The final act was strange. It was very different. But yeah, definitely an interesting film, a unique film that I'd recommend. Checking out. Jonathan Glazer is a very interesting director, and films like Sexy Beast. That's a great film. So yeah, Zone of Interest. It was an interesting film, fine film that I would definitely just recommend seeing. It's very unique, and obviously, it is a very disturbing film. And what it's kind of dealing with. So, yeah, Zone of Interest. That was the final film that I watched of April. So, as I say, March didn't have a favourite first watch because there was a few that were too close to decide at this point. But yes, my favourite first watch of April was Being John Malkovich. As I say, the writing in this film is great. Performances, of course, just a very unique and funny film at times, and just very bizarre, but in the right ways. And I'd give this a 4.5 star rating. I really enjoyed this film. Overall, you could say I love this film, and so interesting. And the visuals to this film, just the way the whole narrative unfolds, is just wow. It's very surprising, and something I was along for the whole time, really. So yes, did not disappoint. Of course, Charlie Kaufman. The script was great, and direction was great as well by Spike Jonze. So yes, definitely a film I'd recommend seeing if you've not seen it. And it was great to finally watch this film for me. So yes, Being John Malkovich was my favourite first watch of April, and that's it for now. That's my thoughts, on all these films. March didn't have a favourite first watch. April, as we say, Being John Malkovich. So it was an interesting few months. Not my best for film watching, especially kind of in March. But yes, a good time with films recently. So what do you think of these films? Have you seen them? If you have, leave your thoughts on and as many as you want. And also, what have you been watching recently? It'd be great to hear. Leave your thoughts in the comments, let me know what you've been watching, and we can discuss all these films and what have you been, watching and rewatching, and what's your favourite, first time watches, all this kind of stuff if you want. We can discuss that. So yes, that's it. That's the video, and more content coming up, of course, on the channel. And yeah, it'd be great to hear your thoughts and discuss all things cinema in the comments. So yes, as always, take care and thanks for watching.